Hello, and welcome back to another video on the Going the Distance YouTube channel. I know, it's been 3 weeks. I said that I'd upload weekly, but it's been pretty rough these last 2 weeks. I got sick with COVID, almost got pneumonia, but I'm bouncing back. I'm hitting workouts. We're feeling good. But anyway, just thought I'd explain myself a little bit there, and let's get into this video. So as you saw in the title of this video, today we're going to be talking about super shoes. Now this is basically my only pair of super shoes. I do have some super spikes, but I know that I'm saying that I don't run in super shoes, but I'm going to clear that up real quick. So these are my only pair of super shoes that I own. They are a pair of Vaporflies I bought. They were on sale for like $174, so I had to cop them like a year ago or something. It was a while ago I bought these. I only use these for races because honestly don't even use them that much. I'll probably use them this track season. I've used them in a couple of workouts. As you can see, they've got a little bit of like wear, like you can tell they've been worn, but I just overall haven't really run in them a lot, and I'll get into the reasons on that later, but I just wanted to show you that I do actually have a pair of super shoes. I also have a pair of super spikes, but now that I got that out of the way, let's start talking about why I don't race, why I don't run or train in super shoes. In today's world, you could probably say that super shoes are a meta. Almost everyone trains in them and everyone races in them. You're basically at a disadvantage if you don't race at them, and you can do a lot more training and hard volume through super shoes, as people would say, but for some reason, I have decided not to do that. I prefer to train in my trainers. I prefer to do all my hard workouts in either trainers and I'll put on the spikes for some hard track workouts, but overall I just usually wear my trainers, which I will show you real quick. So here are my current trainers. They're the Adazero SL. I basically only wear these for running. These are my main shoes for running. Easy days, tempo days, hard track workouts, basically just wear these. Now, one thing about these, they're a little heavy on the feet, but I think that actually helps me a lot when it comes to when I start racing. I wear these for long runs, tempos, basically any pace from 60-second 400s all the way to 8-minute mile pace I've ran in these shoes. Now, it does get hard in track workouts wearing these shoes. It's kind of annoying, but I'm going to get into why that is actually beneficial to me and why I think it could be beneficial to you. Most elite runners today do wear super shoes for a lot of their training, but I have found a couple runners actually prefer to not really wear super shoes. First one is Simeon Birnbaum. Throughout high school, he wore 2 pairs of Brooks shoes. I'll put in a clip here.
Are pretty I just buy like 2 pairs of shoes for a cycle, and I'm not training super shoes or anything, so
About him talking about them. And then also another runner that doesn't really like super shoes all that much is Patrick Tiernan, who was actually the 2016 NCAA cross-country champion.
I didn't really get into the bladed shoes until like 2021 really.
You still out of them in them spikes. Yeah.
I'm still not wearing spikes a bit. But yeah, even the flats, and I think I was just started getting like calf issues and stuff like that just because my foot wasn't working properly.
Yeah.
So,
keeping the strength.
Yeah. So if I can wear them, obviously you got to wear some things to get used to them.
Yeah.
You can't rock up to a marathon stuff in these anymore. So.
It's like the age old, isn't it? Like run 4:35 in carbon shoes, and technically run faster and work faster, or run 450 and non-carbon and strengthen everything up and make it feel crap.
I don't think there's a perfect formula, but we're trying to figure it out.
Now, those are 2 very elite runners, and Patrick Tiernan will more than likely be an Olympian because he ran under the marathon Olympic standard. He does race in super shoes because that would put you at a disadvantage. The thing is with super shoes, I find that they kind of take away the hard work. Like I've done some crazy sessions in super shoes, and it just doesn't really feel that cool because I did them in shoes that are supposed to be fast, and they kind of feel like cheating. Like my feet just move so much quicker with super shoes. Now, spikes, you don't really feel that same propulsion in the super shoes. If you've ever worn spikes, I like the feeling of spikes because they just feel like there's just a thin layer on your feet. They do say that these are better spikes. These are called super spikes, but the only difference I see is that they're extremely light. That's what I like about these. Now, the reason I do race in super spikes and not non-super spikes is because no companies make good spikes that aren't super spikes. Like, every company is putting all their eggs in one basket into super shoes. No longer are they trying to conform to the hobby joggers, because now the hobby joggers want super shoes. Everyone wants to race in a pair of Vaporflies. Everybody wants to race in a pair of Dragonflies. But no one really wants to go back to that hard work, like training, like with just thin spikes. I kind of like that idea of just like thin spikes that don't have that much cushion, because I like to feel when I hit the ground when I race. You know, kind of makes it a little harder. I like to run harder. You know, I like to work harder than other people. It makes me feel better about myself, makes me feel like I'm better. Kind of a psychological thing, but knowing that I don't race, knowing that I don't train in super shoes, it kind of gives me a psychological benefit, because a lot of kids especially, just feel the need to train in super shoes all the time when they should maybe just take a couple days off and not wear super shoes. Now, I'm not saying that you should entirely stop wearing super shoes, but what I am saying is that maybe you should take some days where you wear your trainers for a workout. Maybe your tempo runs aren't done in super shoes. Maybe your long runs aren't done in super shoes. A lot of people feel the need to do, their long runs in super shoes, and I just don't really get behind that at all, because I feel like the long run is supposed to be the hardest. It's not supposed to be the hardest. It's supposed to be one of the toughest mental things. And if you wear super shoes on your long run, it kind of takes away a little bit of that toughness that you build through the long run. And I have never actually done a long run in super shoes. It also deteriorates your shoes very quickly. Another thing I want to talk about is the life expectancy of super shoes. Now, these shoes are not meant to last very long. Some people throw them out after 100 miles, usually professionals, because, you know, they have unlimited shoes, basically. But most people will get as much wear and tear out of their shoes as possible. And I'll actually go get a pair of shoes I want to show you real quick. This is a pair of my brother's shoes. As you can see, they actually don't look that beat, but he does not. He feels that they don't have the same pop or step as when he originally got them. They kind of lose their new feeling after so many miles. I'd probably say about 50 miles they stop to like have that brand new like crazy feeling. But I'm so used to just regular shoes that if I were to put these on, they would feel crazy to me. Honestly, I can see the appeal behind super shoes, but as a guy that's always been like about the grind, I prefer to just go the harder route whenever I can. It makes me a tougher runner. If I can run those paces, the way I look at it is if I can run the paces that I can in regular shoes and I'm feeling like garbage, then I can run really fast in races. If I can run the pace, I believe Haptumacini, another great YouTuber, once said in a video that if he can run marathon pace feeling like garbage in... Oh, snap. I didn't realize that, but like the whole tongue can just come out. I don't think mine does that. Looks like the thread come out. That's interesting, but I digress. But he says that if he can feel like garbage and run marathon pace, then off a taper and feeling good, he'll be able to run really fast at marathon pace. And that's kind of how I treat my running, is just if I can run fast, feeling like garbage in some heavy shoes, then I can run way faster when I spike up. I do spike up, of course, for track workouts. I run a couple reps in spikes just to get used to them, because I do race in spikes. You're at a disadvantage if you don't race in super shoes. I've said that a couple times already. But overall, I don't do any training in super shoes aside from spikes, if you want to say that. I do a bare minimum. I believe I do about a mile a week in spikes, but I do race in spikes. I do a mile a week of workouts in spikes. That's about all I do in spikes. The rest is racing and spikes. I like to save my spikes for racing. A lot of people actually do full track sessions in spikes. Those are normally like professionals. They'll do like a whole track, like Paul Chalima wears spikes for like long workouts. I'll show you some videos of him running. His videos are, he's almost always wearing a pair of Dragonflies in his videos to do his hard workouts, which is insane that we've gone from these shoes that are meant to be minimalist and just not very good on your legs to spikes that can last you a full workout and your legs will feel fresh the next day, which definitely makes sense. If you look at the thickness of this, the stack height, one would say, these should definitely keep you feeling good. Like, my legs used to get really sore when I was like a freshman because I didn't wear like, I wore like, I think it was basically the year Dragonflies came out and I wasn't really that big into running. I had a pair of cross country rivals, and I wore them through cross country and my legs would be so sore the next day. But now that these are what I run in, my legs feel just fine the next day. Now, speaking of calves and soreness, another thing about super shoes is that they don't really put as much pressure on your legs. Now, I feel like your legs can build strength by not running in super shoes, and that can actually be beneficial to your running. Your calves and your like lower legs tend to weaken from wearing super shoes, and a lot of people have foot problems because they wear super shoes too often, but those are extremes. Like, if you only wear them for workouts, you'll be fine. But some people wear them for everyday running, which is kind of weird. But I digress. But that's why I don't feel the need to wear super shoes often or even at all. The final point I want to talk about is how it seems like everyone is rocking super shoes. Everyone and their grandmother has a pair of Vaporflies or Alphaflies, and everyone's so hyped up on the new releases. And it's really kind of annoying, because these people are more focused on the running shoes than actually running. I feel like as long as you put in the hard work, it doesn't matter what shoes you're wearing. You could be running barefoot and putting in the work. There's Kenyans running barefoot right now. There's Kenyans and Ethiopians running barefoot at young ages, and it shows that their legs are strong, their calves and their feet are stronger, and that's what makes them so much better at running. So therefore, why aren't we trying to take advantage of building our feet and our legs to run longer and harder through not wearing super shoes? Of course, super shoes can definitely outweigh the negatives. You just have to look at it on a pros and cons scale and decide for yourself whether or not you think super shoes are good for you. The final point of why I don't run in super shoes that often is because these are very, very expensive. I did get these on sale, and my brother got these on sale for $150, but these retail for $250. That's insane for a pair of shoes that aren't going to last you nearly as long as a pair of trainers. I've always been a guy that doesn't like to spend money or spend that much money on shoes. I always like finding a good deal. My trainers usually cost around $50 because Adidas just seems to have the Adizero SLs for $50 any given day in any color, in a certain colorway every week. But I've also bought some spikes that are actually super spikes for very cheap price. I'll show you real quick. So these right here are the A6 Meta something or whatever. I'm not sure what they're called, but as you can see, they don't have any spikes, which kind of didn't help this shoe in production, and a lot of people didn't buy them, so they went on sale. They originally cost $250, but I copped these for a smooth $60. As you can see, there is quite a bit of foam in this shoe, so it's very comfortable. But the main problem I had with this shoe is that the tracks I run on aren't very good because it's just some random high school track. And I was slipping quite a bit with these. They didn't really dig into the track, but it was a very poor track. Definitely should be resurfaced soon. Hopefully it works better on other tracks. I only tried them on one so far. But overall, they felt really good besides the slipping. And I have noticed that this upper is very thick. Like, you compare them to Dragonflies, this upper is almost like a shoe. Like, this spike is almost meant to be a shoe. It's kind of crazy, and it's interesting. It's really why I wanted to buy them, is because they're so interesting, and they were on sale for so much, and they're usually so expensive. But it's kind of fascinating that ASICS decided to basically make a shoe that's also a spike, and it's kind of not really been done before, besides the Nike Streak flat. But that is not really that's not a super shoe. Like, a super shoe, it's like a flat, but not really. It's like half a flat. These would definitely be good for workouts, and they're very good for running. A lot of people have run very fast in them, including some ASICS Pro. But that's just one pair of spikes I picked up. I'll show you another pair. So these right here are the UA Shakedown Elites. These are Under Armour's, I think this is their first super spike they made, and I really liked these spikes when I tried them out. These were also $60, very cheap. I've run a couple reps and just to test them out and stuff, and overall they feel really good. They're kind of comparable to these. I feel like these are a little more aggressive, a little bit more aggressive than the Dragonflies. I really like the Dragonflies, like how they feel, but these might be just a little bit too aggressive. I probably won't race these. I'll probably race these for the mile. I'm gonna be racing a mile this week. I think I'm gonna wear these in them because I really liked how they felt when I did a 2K rep in them, which felt pretty good wearing these. But if you just go online and look on like Running Warehouse, there are so many super spikes that are just on sale because people do not want to buy spikes that aren't Nike, because Nike has just made so many waves in the super spike industry, and they're kind of got a monopoly. Not a monopoly. They had a monopoly on the super spike industry, but now everyone else is developing spikes that are not, if not as good, but better. Like, a lot of people think that the On Cloud 10,000 meter spike is better than the Nike Dragonfly. Me personally, I've never tried them because they're never for sale, and they are for sale now, but I already have 2 pairs of spikes that I'm wearing this season. I don't need another pair. But eventually I would like to try and see what the hype is all about. But as you can see, I switch out all of my spike laces for Nike laces because they just look cooler, and they're supposed to not fall apart. I had to put some random laces in these, and they kind of look weird. But I digress. Overall, you don't need super spikes to be good. Thanks for watching. Peace.